warm welcome to everyone, to our special guests, our chaplains, our veterans and first responders who are here, new and returning chairs, and of course all of you, our independent residents. Welcome everyone to the 41st Residents Association Annual Meeting with the election of officers and installation of the RAC officers and chairs. I'd like to ask Chaplain Charles to invoke our presence of our Lord.
Let us pray. Holy God, our Creator, Redeemer, and Sanctifier, we thank you for your steadfast, loving presence in our lives and throughout our village, reflected in the faithful service of our Residents Association Council and committees. Bless our time together today as we prepare to begin another year of service. Bless all our residents in every level of care and all our team members, that we may embody your love for the world in all that we do. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. It's a great honor to introduce my good friend and a veteran of the United States Air Force, one of many here who have served our country. And with honorable service, he's also had a long and honorable career, Jerry Shin. Jerry, would you come ahead, please?
Well, in the last few days, we've done a lot to celebrate our country's birthday, and that's great. Various things, that's really great. But today, we're going to add to that because the entire world, most of the world, knows what that is. And that is a great representation, a significant emblem of what our country is. And so we are glad to do that, and it's a very special moment in this service. So please stand and let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sit down.
There are many who take care of us in a number of unique ways on our Carroll Lutheran Village campus. I'd be remiss to not welcome those who might be here, nor give kudos to all the few who take care of the many here. I'm pleased to give kudos to all the Carroll Lutheran Village staff, maintenance, housekeeping, security, culinary, social services, healthcare, life and wellness, administration, and marketing, who all together work hard daily towards satisfying our lives, be it as safe and enjoyable as possible, and it can be. And all is under the control, management, and guidance of the Lutheran Social Service Ministries of Maryland. And thanks so much to all of them for a difficult, yet I believe a banner year this time. So last year we met here around this time, and I'm equally pleased to now introduce one of your Resident Association Council officers. Not only is she responsible for and very good at keeping track and recording the important RAC meetings and discussions and most other related minutes, she's been the writer, rather I should say the author, of the RAC stories and all the informative RAC postings that have occurred and been seen in the newsletter Resident to Resident this year. Anita Wilcox. Please come ahead, Anita. She's our RAC secretary.
All right, this is an easy meeting for me because all I have to do is ask if you have read the minutes. They were on Touchtown for about a month beforehand. They're in the back of the room if you have not, and I would like a motion from the floor to approve the minutes. Do I have a... Okay, do I have a second? Okay. All of those who approve of the minutes say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. Minutes are approved, and thank you very much.
Traditionally, Lutheran Social Ministries of Maryland and Carroll Lutheran Village approve and allocate the RAC a sum of money to fund our very own ideas and of different exciting events and purchases like the library, books, and entertainment, learning, spiritual and social activities, fun, designed to bring the community together in planning, preparation, and to be enjoyed together to promote unity and joy. We have a bank account and a record of payments, reimbursements for out-of-pocket, and several knowledgeable resident volunteers early in May and June, and even up to a couple days ago, performed an audit-type review, assuring our accounting, bookkeeping, and expense records is transparent and acceptable to general accounting principles and practices. I ask residents Bob Anderson and Ted Pfeiffer to please come ahead and give your findings.
I'm Ted Pfeiffer and my colleague Bob Anderson, and we work together as a committee of two to audit the financial records. On July the 1st, 2023, we audited the checking account of the Residents Association. We examined bank statements, paid invoices, ledger sheets, and authorization for payment requests for the year ending June 30, 2023. Here are our findings. The balance on hand July 1st of 2022 was $6,991.64. There was only one receipt for $28.89, making the total available funds $7,020.53. We had a total disbursement of $6,601.50. So the balance on June 30th, 2023 was $419.03. The balance represents the sole assets of the Residents Association Council. There are no known current liabilities. We have found the records presented to be in good order. All income was verified and all disbursements were justified. And Bob and I'd like to commend the Treasurer, Frank Mack, for his outstanding work. And we thank you, Frank. It made our job a whole lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you again, Ted and Bob. An umbrella organization, a management organization established, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, established by the ELCA Synod and installed by regional Lutheran church leaders to provide overall management and strategies for continued and enhanced safety, enjoyment, viability, and growth for both of the continuing care retirement communities, Lutheran Village Millers Grant and Carroll Lutheran Village. The person they installed leads both management and administration teams is here today with us. And I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Jeff Branch, President and CEO of Lutheran Social Ministries of Maryland.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank whoever is in charge of scheduling this week because you kept me from sitting in the airport for hours somewhere in the country, so I appreciate that. You have no idea, besides feeling like you're going to melt when you're outside right now. So it is a pleasure to be with you today. I'd like to thank the now-to-be former president of the Resident Association, Dan Short, for the invitation. I'd also like to congratulate Joan Mayer for becoming the president of the Resident Association for this fiscal year. I look forward to building upon our relationship. Every year I stand before you and I talk about renovation projects. This has become a recurring theme, and that is good news. And we're going to do that for a few more years, so be prepared. I've referenced many times that we have embarked on a 10-year plan to revitalize our campus. Feels good to have our first project, Windsor Terrace, complete. It's a beautiful space. If you haven't visited Windsor Terrace, I encourage you to get over there and see it. It is a great community building, and we're very proud of it. I'd like to thank the residents of Windsor Terrace for their patience and understanding during this project. I recognize how difficult it is to be displaced from your home. I'd also like to thank the team involved with communications as well as movement of residents. This was a multifaceted project with many team members and contractors involved. They did a wonderful job executing this plan. I can tell you how much work happened behind the scenes prior to first meeting with residents and what continued throughout, and it is quite impressive. They were doing everything they possibly could to make those transitions for each individual resident the best they could. Our second project, Avondale Place, began in April. This project entails the same scope of renovations. However, the building is obviously a lot larger, and the project will take a bit more time. We have experienced some challenges related to acquiring building materials, but that's no surprise. It's very similar to what we experienced in Windsor Terrace. The supply chain is improving, there's no doubt about it, but it continues to be somewhat volatile in areas that you wouldn't expect. What we've learned from our partners that are out there that provide these types of supplies is oftentimes we'll be given a forecasted time frame, and when it comes to the time that it's supposed to be delivered, we learn they really don't have it. And so it's a little bit of a different environment than we're used to. However, suffice to say, we are ordering months in advance, and at times when we're informed of that production delay, we're pivoting. We make every effort to pivot where possible to keep the project moving, and I think the Harkins team and our team has done a nice job making that happen. At the same time, our goal is to keep our residents informed, and sometimes that may be one step forward, one step back, and we realize that, so we appreciate the patience that comes with that. It's not as straightforward as maybe projects have been in the past because of that unexpected delay that oftentimes hits us. But I'd like to leave projects for a moment because I know some of you have been in the thick of it for quite some time and probably are tired of hearing it. I understand there's a meeting right after this one, which is exciting, so related to Avondale Place. So I'd like to segue for a moment to talk about the Touchdown app. At the beginning of the year, the Resident Life team began uploading material to the app. The goal is to keep this information fresh and new. So for me, it's about moving away from the TV channel and sitting there watching it for 20 or 30 minutes to see all the news. It's more about having it at your fingertips. And so this was a lot of work for our team, believe it or not, because it's all about loading that information. And to keep it fresh takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And so again, I want to congratulate the Resident Life team. They were able to accomplish the goal that we had set well in advance. I think they were about 2 months in advance, Ken, of the deadline, getting the thumbs up. So we know that they were ahead of schedule, and they've continued to look for ways that they can evolve the content that's on the modules available. I'd like to thank our residents as well, because I know we had a number of residents that championed this effort, and this was really important to us because it's not going to be successful in a rollout like that unless you have resident help, and we need that help to keep it continually useful for our residents. Now, we intend to expand that app and add new modules by the end of the year, so if no one has shared that, I apologize, Pete. It is coming, but we anticipate having transportation and culinary modules added to the app by the end of the year, and so the goal here is to have everything at your palm, or at your laptop or whatever device you may use at this point. So we're very excited about the potential that this gives us. We know that it's going to continue to be a great opportunity for us to share information. And just want to reiterate, it is all fresh news. So we won't keep anything there historical, and that's partly to keep from everybody becoming confused about what's old, what's new. So that's part of that challenge for our team to keep that updated. So look for that in the near future. You can give Pete a hard time along the way until it's ready for you. So I'm going to jump to a couple of areas that we talked about last year. There are two areas that we asked for your help. One was occupancy, the other was team member recruitment and retention. I'm asking once again to continue to assist us with these areas, but first I thought I'd provide an update because I've heard lots of different information behind the scenes from different residents or team members, and a lot of it is about what they're hearing and maybe what they're experiencing in terms of one or two individuals leaving. But I want to share something with you. So occupancy, I'll start with because I want to give kudos to Pete and the team and the sales team here. Occupancy in residential living has grown to 85%. So we are very excited about that. We still have a little ways to go there, but that is a big climb because at one point within the last 2 years, we were at 78%. So that is a big climb. So again, kudos to the team. We have more work to do there, but that's still impressive. Equally impressive on the assisted living side, we have grown from 85% occupied over the last 2 years to about 100% on any given day. If it's not 100%, we have one opening there, which I believe is about 96% occupied. So again, kudos to the team. They've been working hard to make that happen. We continue to be challenged on the skilled nursing side, so we want to keep working on that. But ultimately, the team now has 7 move-ins scheduled for residential living right now. So that is good news. So good to hear, good to share. Let's see. Your referrals also make a difference. We've gotten a few referrals from our residents that are currently here. We know the transition's much easier if you refer your friends or family. So we appreciate those who've already done that. We hope that you'll continue to do that. In addition, your assistance in allowing us to show your apartments or include you in tours goes a long way in selling our community. I've heard from a couple of residents directly that they've toured future residents without us even knowing at times, which we appreciate too, because you're great stewards and truly ambassadors of the community. So we appreciate that. Oftentimes this was in off hours. So thank you to all the residents who've helped in this area. The second was team member recruitment and retention. 4 years ago, I was told that it's hard to find team members to work here. We have to use agency. And it'd be this ... right? And every time I heard it, it was just this recognition or resignation that this is just how it is. It was something that never sat well with me. It was something that I didn't believe, number one, but it just didn't sit with me. So we invested in our resources in recruiting. We changed ads. We strengthened partnerships in the community and found new friends out there in the community that would be willing to help us. I'm thrilled to share that we have not utilized agency for more than a year. And I was trying to go back in all my reports. It's actually a lot longer than a year, but I couldn't figure out where that last report was. So I will share that that is a big change because for years we had been using agency, which diminishes the community that we so love. Beyond that, our turnover is 26%. 15% of that is PRN and part-time team members. Now, those folks are very important to us, but if you carve out those part-timers, a lot of them are students that come and go, sometimes on a temporary basis, sometimes on a long-term basis. So if you look at 11% of full-time staff turnover compared to the industry average, which is 36%, it's pretty darn good. So I give kudos to the team, to the community, to all of you for creating an environment that really is one that all of us want to work in. So thank you for that. And I do want to dispel some of those things that are out there, but we don't have staff because we do. I will tell you, though, that on any given day we're looking for a team member. We have a lot of positions at the community. So we're still recruiting. There's no doubt about it. We're still striving to be better, but we're doing pretty well from a turnover perspective and a recruitment perspective. So again, kudos to the team there. We know that our team have many options. We invest a considerable amount of time and money in recruitment, wage analysis, and training. So how can all of you help? You can refer someone to work here. And I'll keep saying that. I feel like I'm going to repeat this one every year. But when you're out at restaurants, when you're at grocery stores, and you have somebody that provides good service, tell them to check us out. And I know sometimes that's stepping out of a box that's a comfort zone with folks, but trust me, I've done it. Many of our team members have done it. Those folks come and work, and they're great team members. So please don't hesitate to put it out there. Retention is also important. We know that we have a large number of team members who are continuing their education or who haven't found their career calling or are offered a big job somewhere else. So we expect some to leave. But we also expect some of them to boomerang back to us, believe it or not. But for many, they are uncertain what they will do post-college. So it's our job to educate them on all the types of careers available here and to create a positive work environment. You play an important role too. Most of the time when I talk to team members, when they tell me why they love this community, it's because of you. It's because of the relationships that they grow through, the things they learn from you. So I encourage you to keep doing those things. It's very important to have great relationships with the team members, especially the young ones. They really do enjoy that opportunity to learn from you and to make that connection. So that is because of you, so thank you for that. I'd like to thank Joan and Dan once again for their leadership and support during the past year. I have joked with both of them over the past year that they're glutton for punishment, but appreciate the grace that they've shown in leading and being great partners. I believe we've formed a productive and open relationship. I look forward to continuing our partnership with the Resident Association for years to come. Be well and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to boldly tell you, Pete Bolt came to head up our Carroll Lutheran Village leadership and administration team and said, yes, he had to be ready to hit the deck running, to mop up, hopefully, the last of COVID's ugly imprint, to revitalize and rebuild a ravaged staff towards returning to normalcy. So let's just, in fact, as I look out here, it's so wonderful to see everyone's face again. That's a big plus. So let's listen to what our executive director has to say to us, where he expects to lead us and his visions of what's to come. Pete Bolt.
Thank you, Dan. Today I'm going to talk about serving and volunteering, which is really what goes on here if we think about today and the resident council and the committees. But first I want to thank Dan for his year of service as the president. And then we have Dolly Long that's coming off as the hospitality chair, so I want to thank her. And then Mel Fisher is coming off as the exterior grounds chair, so I wanted to thank them for their service this past year. And in this first year, I found the resident council committee and the Dan, Dolly, and Mel to be supportive of me, but most importantly, they really did truly communicate the needs of the residents, unvarnished and in a very honest way, though. So I appreciated that, and I'm sure that will continue. Serving and volunteering is the act of giving oneself to help others without the expectations of anything in return. It is an act of kindness and compassion that has a significant impact on our community. Serving and volunteering are the central values of Carroll Lutheran Village that are emphasized as a means of showing our love and compassion towards one another. These values are rooted in the beliefs that we are called to serve and care for one another. In the Bible, Jesus is portrayed as the ultimate servant leader who came to serve and not be served. If you remember, he goes on to demonstrate this servant leadership by washing his disciples' feet, an act of service that's traditionally reserved for the lowest servant in the house. There are numerous other stories out there that emphasize the importance of serving and volunteering. First and foremost, it's a compassionate act, as I said, towards others, and it fulfills our obligation to care for others. It's also a way for us to build community and strengthen our social bonds. Serving and volunteering are central values to the history of Carroll Lutheran Village. Just today I walked down Legacy Hall from, it showed all the pictures from 81 through today, though, and there's a lot of volunteering in those pictures. Serving and volunteering are the central values, as I've said, for Carroll Lutheran Village. There are also acts of kindness by residents and staff throughout the year that we should recognize. Maybe for some of the residents here may not be aware of, or if you're a new resident, something for you to be aware of or to get involved in. And some of those examples have been this past year, the adoption of the Adams Mill Road, where staff and residents work together and pick up garbage along the road twice a year. The Carroll Food Sunday, where Carroll Lutheran residents donate canned foods around Thanksgiving. And some of these I've just learned. Or Shepherd Staff, where staff prepares Santa stockings, Easter baskets, school supplies based on resident donations. Then we have the Threads of Compassion, where residents knit and donate scarves and hats to the local shelters. The Linus Blankets, where the residents knit and donate blankets to the babies in the hospital. The event, and also the events like the Resident Silent Auction, which I was a recipient today. I won I bid the most for the 6 months of dessert, so I got a cake today by Judy, which I've already gotten into. Very good. I can bring it home and it'll last a few days. If I put it in the employee lounge, it'll be gone quickly. But whether it's the silent auction or the selling of wreaths or crafts, where all the funds are raised go to the Resident Assistant Fund. There are many opportunities for serving and volunteering. We do make a tangible difference in the lives of others, building our community, and we grow as individuals. I do thank the past year residents for serving on the committees, and I look forward to working with the new members of the resident committees and councils. Thank you. And Dan,
Thank you, Pete. My report. We've traveled a good way together these last 2 years, and I can honestly say that I'm ready to depart from the rack unafraid. Why? Because I know something you don't. You've now heard what path we are on and where we're headed, and it's a direction to embrace all that is important in some way to each of us. Safety, security, learning, enjoyment in retirement. We're all recipients of the loyal and enthusiastic efforts of others this past year. The Resident Association chairpersons have helped each other with loyal and creative support to bring the community the most exciting get-togethers and the best spiritual experiences, food, fun. How could they do that? How could they do that? All by themselves? Single-handedly? No way. No way. They surrounded themselves with a cadre of people who are helping them. And it's because of those people who are surrounding our chairpersons that they are able to serve you in the best way and to have the safety and security and the creation of the community, beautification and togetherness. So, as I say, I have no fear believing that next year will be even better, maybe the best. We'll see. But most of all, officers and chairpersons who made me so proud to be able to be counted to serve along with them, they have accepted the great responsibility and challenge, many of them, to serve you once again. Will it be easy? No. But the sacrifice will be worth it, I'm sure. Excellence of service and dedication to their neighbors, you. Carroll Lutheran Village cares nothing about its age in years. It cares only about how long, how, and how soon your satisfaction and enjoyment is reached. Two of those people I want to, again, echo with what Pete said is Mel Fisher and Dolly Long. Could you please stand for a moment? Dolly, Mel, where did he go? Mel Fisher, Dolly Long. Dolly was our food and dining chairperson, and Mel Fisher was our exterior care and grounds person, chairman. So I just want to thank them for their sacrifice this year, their time, their effort, and along with their members to provide a better community, a beautiful community, and a welcoming attitude to the to our new residents who are coming here. So again, I just want to thank them. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing a few of your neighbors who have stepped forward not for anything but to serve you. May I ask they come ahead to the front as I introduce each. First, I introduce our candidate for RAC Vice President. She's well known to many, if not most all of us, Hermine Saunders. Next, your current RAC Treasurer, Frank Mack. And with Frank, of course, your current RAC Secretary, Anita Wilcox. And finally, what a pleasure it is to introduce your current RAC Vice President, Joan Spear. Carroll Lutheran Village, Hermine, Frank, Anita, and Joan stand before you and offer themselves and their time ready to serve you for the next RAC fiscal year of 2023 through 2024. Do I have a motion to proceed with the election of these, your resident neighbors, to be elected to be your next RAC officers for the next fiscal year? Do I have a motion? A second? Okay. So, Hermine Sanders, shall she be your RAC Vice President of next year? Yes. Do I have an aye? Aye. Nay? Okay, good. And do I have a motion to re-elect Frank Mack as treasurer, Anita Wilcox as secretary, and Joan Spears to become your next RAC president by affirmation? Do I have a motion? Second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Nay? Okay, good, good. And so now I'd like Joan to come ahead. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Stand up here.
I am. We'll get it all straightened out, not to worry. All right, so before I introduce the new or remaining and new committee chairs, I would like to have Dan come up.
What did I do?
Well, I think you finished what you were going to do. So on behalf of RAC, I would like to let you know that we have made a donation to the Walters Education Fund in your honor, and the Office of Philanthropy will be notifying you officially. In addition to that, we have a little something for you, and Dan has a very interesting moniker for his email address, and if you've not emailed him before, he is Fishman Dan. There is a number with that, but that's okay. So I thought it might be appropriate if Dan could wear his email moniker. I'm sure there's a story about it, but I don't know what the story is.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is exciting. Yeah, man.
There you go.
Thank you, June.
So thank you for your service, and remember that. So now I'd like to introduce the RAC chairs for the coming year. Athena is not with us today. She had a calling from her daughter, and we know how that is. So, but Athena DeGangi will be the returning chair of the Creative Expressions Committee. Dwight Phillips, would you please come forward? Dwight is the new chair of the Exterior Grounds, Exterior Care and Grounds Committee. Jean Hauk, if you would come forward. Jean is the continuing chair of Food and Dining Committee. Lou Peel, if you would come forward, he has agreed to continue as the Health Care Committee chair for another year. And Deborah Rio is not new to the audience. Deborah has been part of RAC before a few times, and she is going to be the hospitality chair for the coming year. And Joe Tully, if you would come forward. Joe is going to continue as chair of the Interior Care and Concerns Committee. Violet's already getting up. Violet Stebner is the returning chair for the Library Committee. Judy Peel is going to keep us socially active, and she's the returning chair of the Social Committee with the silent auction and all those other good things. Jim Bosler is the returning chair of the Spiritual Committee. He keeps us spiritually challenged. And Connie Hawk will come forward as a continuing chair of the Wellness Committee. So these are your committee chairs, and of course your officers are already here for the coming year. And I would like to ask, please, yeah. Volunteers, and it's not easy, as all of you know, sitting in the audience, and I'm sure many of you have served as committee chairs before, so it's not always easy, but we thank everyone that does do that. And Chaplain Charlie, are you going to do us the honors of the installation? Oh, she's in the back. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
You're tucked back in there, Jean.
That's
Can everyone
okay.
see you?
That's okay.
Well, what a joy it is to be with all of you today. I'm really, truly grateful always to be here at Carroll Lutheran Village or at Miller's Grant, but really mostly for selfish reasons, if you want to know the truth. It's because you inspire me, and you give me a wise perspective, and you often speak truth, and I appreciate that so very much. So thank you for the invitation to be among you. And thank you to each one of you who have agreed to serve as resident association officers and committee chairs. You are leaders among leaders, and your service is a gift to the community. My hope and prayer is that you will serve with joy and humility, faithfulness, and a good dose of humor. A few verses from Colossians chapter 3. Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other. As the Lord has forgiven you, so you must also forgive another. And above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you are called in one body. We're gathered here because we believe that you have been called together into a work we cannot yet know the fullness of. Still, we trust the voice of the one who has called you. And so I invite you to offer to God these things: your dreams, your plans, and your vision. May God shape them as God wills, your moments and your gifts, that they may be invested to bring eternal ends. We pray for God to richly bless the work before you. May you be shepherded in God's way, and may God not let you grow entrenched in old habits. Instead, listen for God's voice, your hearts ever open to the quiet beckonings of the Spirit as you serve Carroll Lutheran Village. Unite this community and draw you ever closer through love, faith, and service. Let all you do here in this work God has ordained for this community bless those you have been invited to serve. And so now I ask you, elected officers of the Resident Association Council and committee chairs, will you serve Carroll Lutheran Village with honesty and humility, love and faithfulness? If so, please say together, I will. I will. Will you do all you can to serve in collaboration with your peers and the leadership of the community? If so, please say together, I will. I will. And finally, will you strive to serve with smiley faces and joyful attitudes? If so, please say together, I will. I will. Officers and committee chairs of the Resident Association Council, I now declare you installed and blessed to serve among Carroll Lutheran Village for the next year. May you be blessed to be a blessing. Amen.
I have one more formality. My final act as president, and I present Joan Spear with the gavel. And I just wish you all good blessings and Godspeed for excellence in serving this next year.
Thank you, Dan. I'm not going to test the gavel out. Just a few remarks that I will make. And no, Jeff and Pete and myself did not get together and say what we were going to talk about. But you will see that there's already collaboration there in our remarks. Number one, it's thank you for the opportunity to serve this community. As I'll tell anyone when the little committee forms come out and you say that you want to be part of the community and to volunteer, be careful what you ask for. And you have good salesmen here. But just to start, many years ago, well, a lot of years ago, I was a 4-H member. And at every opportunity, you had to say the motto and the pledge. And the motto in 4-H is to make the best better. So I think and it comes back to me throughout my lifetime at different times. So I believe that at CLV, we residents have the opportunity to make the best better. because I do truly believe that CLV offers the best in senior living in our area, and I think probably any area, because what makes it are the people. And I think we have very good people here. Everybody's been very welcoming to me, I know that. But your RAC members and your committee chairs especially work really hard to conduct and have activities that benefit all the residents, and to listen to the residents. It's another big piece with RAC. We want to listen. If you have concerns, you want changes, you want this, not that we can change the world, not trying to say that, but they do listen. So I would say a few things that I'll relate, and this was an interesting experience that I didn't go out and seek. But over the past 10 months, I've been in 40 different hospitals to help them find ways to increase their patient safety. And one thing that's been across all 40 that they ask me is, how do we recruit and retain team members? And I wish I had a magic answer to that. That would work. And those team members include everything from doctors to nurses to technicians to maintenance personnel and to environmental services to food services, all across. So everybody is out there and struggling. I don't know where the people are to take the jobs, but I think we're very fortunate here in our setting. And automatically, everybody answers when, okay, you want to attract and retain people, pay them more money. That is not always the answer. I can tell you that from experience for many years. I can tell you that's what people tell me now that are working in the hospitals. Because as one of the things that I do, I take people aside, the frontline workers, talk to them to get the real skinny on what's happening, what their culture's like, what what are their concerns, what are things that help them. They have a couple of things. Obviously, salary is important. Education is important to a lot of folks out there, and they look for that. But the other thing that is equal to salary, what they tell me, is the way they are treated in the environment and in the culture. We are a big part of that as residents, and they particularly, if people speak to them kindly and respectfully and respect their knowledge, that's particularly beneficial. And I see that it's a faith-based hospital group that I've been in, so you can really see that in the culture. It does make a big difference, and I do know that all of us, on some days, we're hurting in one way or the other, whether it's physical, emotional, or whatever that is. But if we try to put a little front on and say, okay, the way I speak to other people today, I sometimes say I'm not socially acceptable today, but the way we speak to other people that day, kind of be cautious, because we don't want to ruin their day too. I might be having a bad day, but we don't have to ruin everybody's day. But I know everybody likes to feel appreciated and valued, and we can tell people that. And we can try to do that as we express and interact with all of the team members, from food to maintenance to housekeeping, whoever is there. So I would ask that we try. That's my particular thing, and I catch myself. So if you, as I always said to any employee that worked for me, if you catch me doing something that I shouldn't be doing, call me on it. It's okay. And then I would like to, one other piece that's very important to me, that in closing, I'll share a devotion that was given to me by Ann Pritz, who was a special friend. Good morning, God. You are ushering in another day, untouched and freshly new. So here I come to ask you, God, if you'll renew me too. Forgive the many errors that I made yesterday, and let me try again. Dear God, to walk closer in your way. But Father, I am well aware I can't make it on my own. So take my hand and hold it tight, for I can't walk alone. So this was a special friend that she knew me for a long time, so she knew I needed it. But I wish to thank everyone for their support to keep our community safe and to make it a wonderful place to live. And have my contact information is certainly in the directory for your convenience. So have a good rest of the day. And as we go back outside, it's hot. So be careful. Excuse me? Why did you want me to bang the gavel? You have to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Were you making a motion to adjourn?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting as long as you get the minutes.
And we have a second. Meeting is adjourned. Does that make you happy?